Good evening, everyone. I'm having a couple technical issues, but screw it. We'll get things started. Let me get this shared out real quick. Looks everything seems to be working all right. I guess I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. Seems to be kind of an issue when I jump from different streaming tools. Kind of throws my things in a bit of a hiatus. Looks like everything's working, so we'll get started. There's been a lot of talk with the bank issues, with Silicon Valley Bank crashing, and the FDIC having to step in. It's back to the same retort. I hear people talking about buy crypto, buy silver, buy gold, and it truly shows me how ignorant people are to history. People forget their history or just don't know it. Don't get me wrong. Gold, silver, bartering items like tobacco, liquor, all will have its place in due time, but not while there's an actual government that's still enforcing the rules and laws. And that the price and value of that gold that you have saved up, the silver that you have saved up, isn't going to be what it's worth right now. You guys need to also understand that. You also need to understand that there's other things going on, which we'll get to in a little bit. Things that Congress are doing, trying to add more sanctions to Russia, which nobody's talked about. I didn't even know it was happening until I was researching some history for you guys that I know personally of, where FDR made it illegal to hoard, sell, and possess gold for the American citizens. You couldn't sell it. It was a crime if you did. It was a crime if you got caught having it. Something for you guys to think about while you listen to all these people buy gold. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying you should, because it will have a place eventually. But it will be in a place in a bartering system, not in a governmental system. Crypto, if you have no bank access, no bank account, you can't buy crypto. You can't sell your crypto if banks go down. Well, you might be able to do a little bit with it, here and there with the exchanges and stuff, but there's no cash to buy. You can't buy. You'll have to rely on your crypto to buy other forms of crypto, which you wouldn't want to be doing in a financial crisis where everything's just collapsing. Digital currency, to me, is the biggest joke out there. It's a make-believe item that your monopoly money has more money than crypto. We're not even going to really talk about crypto, other than just point out the fact that what good is it? How many places can you pay your bills right now with crypto? There's some places, yes, you can, but most places you cannot. And if the banks go down, you're not going to be able to cash that out and have it transferred to your bank account to have cash. Did you guys think about that? While you keep hyping up all this crypto, you got a better chance to take that money, invest it in the stock market, and make more money. Crypto's a joke, guys. What's going to happen to El Salvador when Bitcoin tanks? Happened once, it'll happen again. It's just like the stock market. It goes up and up and up, and eventually it comes down. It's not a stable system. We have no, when it comes to currency, there's only one stable system, and that's information. That's the most valuable currency ever in existence. It's more valuable than any precious gem, paper, monetary, physical item in the world. And that's what it's all about. We've seen the reports. We've seen how they knew something was going to happen to that banking institution because the CEO, the CO, the CFO all sold a bunch of stocks in the company. They knew it was going down. There's a big fear come tomorrow. People aren't going to be able to access their banks. Whoop-dee, I don't care, honestly. I don't keep that much in the bank to begin with. We talk about all this, pushing for a digital currency, getting away from paper and stuff. It's already there. It's been there. Most people don't even carry cash on them anymore. They rely on their debit card, bank card, Visa, MasterCard, whatever. I mean, I've seen now more and more ATMs put limits on how much you can take out, capping it off at $250, $200. So you can't take large amounts of cash out of the ATM anymore. Indiana, any place throughout the whole state, at least the areas I was in, traveled through, you could not take out no more than 200 from an ATM. It's still limited, in certain areas. At least here in Ohio, actually I've watched it happen. A couple of the ATMs in Bryan put a limit on how much you can take out from that ATM per day. So you can't go over there and like, okay, I need $800. Bank's closed. I'll just take the 800 out of the ATM. Nope, can't do that anymore. And that's coming everywhere. When you start seeing the writing on the wall, you got to start paying attention. But you also got to know history. Let's get into history. Let's get into what FDR did when he pushed the Gold Reserve Act. The United States Gold Reserve Act of January 30th, 1934 required that all gold and gold certificates held by the Federal Reserve be surrendered and vested in the sole title of the United States Department of Treasury. It also prohibited the Treasury and financial institutions from redeeming dollar bills for gold. Established the Exchange Stabilization Fund under control of the Treasury to control the dollar's value without the assistance or approval of the Federal Reserve, and authorized the president to establish the gold value of the dollar by proclamation. And yes, I get it. We live in a time where our dollar isn't based by gold, but let's not forget the point here that I'm going to be making. Immediately following the passage of the act, President Franklin D. Roosevelt changed the statutory price of gold from $20.67 per troy ounce to $35. The price change incentivized gold miners globally to expand production and foreigners to export their gold to the United States. All sounds great to this point, right? Big boom, big increase. The price. Oh, wait. While simultaneously devaluing the US dollar by increasing inflation. Sounds good up to a point, right? Everybody transferring their gold. But when they started doing that, it devalued the dollar. So, what happens next? The increase in gold reserves due to the price change resulted in a large accumulation of gold in the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury, much of which was stored in the United States Bullion Depository at Fort Knox and other locations. The increased gold reserves increased the money supply, lowering real interest rates, which in turn increased investments in durable goods. Okay, don't sound bad, right? Oh, wait. Uh-uh. We can't be having you make a profit. We can't have you that's been hoarding all this gold, buying all this gold up, make a profit. A year earlier, in 1933, Executive Order 6102 had made it a criminal offense. Mind you, they made this executive order prior to the Gold Reserve Act for U.S. citizens to own or trade gold anywhere in the world, with exception for some jewelry and collector coins. These prohibitions were relaxed starting in 1964. Gold certificates were again allowed for private investors on April 24, 1964, although the obligation to pay the certificate holder on demand in gold species would not be honored. By 1975, Americans could again freely own and trade gold. This is important. This is why you need to know that all these people that tell you to go buy all this, either they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't iterate the fact they're talking about it for a completely collapse. But as long as there is a form of federal government in place, that gold you have, that silver you have, is worthless. They will make it illegal for you to trade it, to possess it, and sell it, or barter with it. If you are caught, you will face criminal actions. You'll face raids on your house if somebody thinks you have it. They're not going to stop. This is like the whole idea of cryptocurrency. You think any government, if they can't control it, is going to let it be their currency? Yeah, we can argue that well, they did in El Salvador and a few other countries have followed suit. True. But what happens when you can't cash that in? What happens when Bitcoin crashes and it's because it goes back to being worthless? Then what do you have? Then you have nothing to fall back on. You have no currency. It devalues your precious gems and minerals, but you still have to have a banking structure in place. No bank, no money. There's, I guess as of today, it was like three more banks that kind of folded in. It seems like it's 2008 all over again, right? With the financial crisis, the home crisis. Banks, because nobody regulated them, nobody kept their foot down. They bailed them out at our expense, and they were having luscious vacations disguised as board meetings, spending more money, and many of them never repaid their debt. Some people, this is gonna might affect their paychecks. So I get why everybody's worried, but I also want you to understand that as long as there's a institute of power in place, they're going to deem what is value, what the currency is, and who can have it. You know, Theodore Roosevelt was in that time, or FDR, in that time, that was time of the Great Depressions and stuff. They made they compounded it, made it worse for people that actually had other things such as gold by telling them you can't sell it, you can't trade it, and you can't possess it. So yes, I would recommend have other resources, but don't talk about it. I heard somebody say today, well, for all those that thought that what I was saying all this time ago that didn't go by, well, for those that know, and for those that don't, you'll get a rude awakening. No, not true. Some of you that think you know is going to get a rude awakening. Economically and financially, our system right now is screwed. Our government's spending more money and more money, printing money that doesn't exist, and 98% of it's not even coming back to you, the people, to the infrastructure, badly torn, destroyed infrastructure of this country. It's going to third world countries that have no business getting our money. Biden's first months in office during the UK, he set sanctions that did not hurt Russia. In fact, Russia gained. Their ruble became more valuable than it ever was due to bad economic sanctioning policies that our Congress approved of. And I know what you're saying. Well, we got a new Congress now. This is different. Yeah? Well, let me get on to the next subject of the irony. Yes, you're right. We do. Senators seek to freeze Russia gold. A bipartisan bill closes a critical loophole that would allow Russia to sell off its gold reserves to prop up the Russian economy. We're talking about 130 billion freeze on there. I mean, we're talking about Republicans and Democrats actually working on this bill. Imagine that. Calling it Stop Russia Gold Act, which is actually going to hurt people that have gold. That's going to eventually cause a disruption, and the gold market will end up crashing by doing so. Not that the U.S. cares, because we don't have that much gold anymore. We're based on petrol, the petrol dollar, which is a joke in itself. Because we're not producing the oil, so it'd been a different story. We had our oil wells in Texas, the pipeline to get the money off that, because it's not technically ours. All our oil industry, and we were actually making money off that. Then it'd be a different story. But no, we're buying our oil and allowing Saudi Arabia and Iran and Russia in China to dictate the prices of oil per barrel. We don't have no say in it. Makes no sense to base our dollar off something that we don't control or have much say in, right? But here comes a bipartisan bill that's going to ca- cause even more chaos and havoc. And it's also going to affect banks that invest in gold. So now what you're starting to see, is a design to crash the financial systems, crash banks. We already seen that sanctioning Russia does not work and our benefit. It's backfired every time. And to think you're going to try to play with the gold market, if you cause that to crash, we're in trouble. We already seen reports as of this morning, the people buying gold and silver skyrocketed overnight in a 1 day period, which is going to, we all know how this works. People start panicking. Oh, we're going to run to the stores and get the stuff that we should already have, and we're going to empty the stores out. You guys didn't learn your lessons from the shutdowns and lockdowns during COVID? Then things become restricted. You can only buy a certain amount. They put limitations on items. People panic. People don't know. Well, I don't know if that money's going to be there come Monday. I need to stock up just in case. Or how am I going to pay my bills? So let me go buy a bunch of gold and a bunch of silver. Well, what happens when Congress passes that bill and Biden, who will sign it because he thinks his sanctions will work, and our gold market crashes? Like I said, that gold has no value. I mean, it has value right now, but in a financial crisis and collapse, it has no value other than what a person deems it's worth at the time. If the federal government says that it's illegal for people to possess, own, sell, trade, barter with, then, well, it's only worth something in the black market. Because that's what they'll start labeling bartering systems. Communities that barter, they'll start labeling them as black markets, criminal organizations. I mean, we have black markets. You're always going to have black markets. But black markets thrive and grow during these catastrophes of financial crises. People start going to them. We already see a shortage of medication. So people try to find other sources to receive that medication. Everything has value as long as you don't have somebody controlling that value. Even in a barter system, we set the value. I mean, to me, what's that gold, those 4 or 5 ounces of gold worth? You're wanting what for that? Food? You're going to need more than 4 or 5 ounces. I'm sorry. That food has more value than that gold. Honestly, if you have iron, I'd rather have the iron over the gold because I can use that iron. That iron has more value than gold. See what you guys not understanding here? Because I can use that iron to melt it down, make bullets, make arrowheads. So how much is gold really worth, guys? In a financial crisis, eventually even your power stations are going to go down. So I don't really need the gold and the silver to fix most of my product things because I'm not going to be using sophisticated equipment that needs gold and copper for conductive reasons. I mean, I hate to be the guy that the one that's always coming around and trying to keep it real with you because other people won't tell you the truth because they just repeat what everybody in their echo chambers keeps telling them. But they forget their history. And that's right because the people who was around back then when that happened, only a handful are still left living. Almost all of them are long gone and dead. We're several generations then. But that's something our power structures know and understand. That's why they are so pushing on indoctrinating our children, indoctrinating the next generation. At a time, we come to a point in time, we come to a crossroads where we need to start keeping it real, real. What really has value? Your skills have more value than gold, than silver, and paper money. If you can do something I can't do that is needed for my community, you have value. But when you start talking, well, I want paid in gold, silver, you have no value. Because more than likely, most of us, eh, we might have it, but not enough to pay it with. That has other purposes. Liquor has more value than gold and silver, especially your moonshine, your still, people, because that's going to become a thing. If you don't know how, I suggest you learn. There's a skill, you can somewhat do it legally. Learn it. Don't go selling it. Don't think you're going to make. Learn how to still, because that's your disinfectant. High enough proofs can run your engines if you know how to tune your engines. That can run your generators and your four wheelers if you set them up right. There's a reason why they don't want moonshiners and people that know these things being able to legally do this stuff. That's why they make it virtually impossible to do it the legal and right way. There's always a catch, and it's all about control, keeping their foot on you, making you constantly worry and wonder, oh, when's the next crisis is going to happen? I mean, we got to keep it real. Your gold and silver, honestly, is worthless. It might have its little run in the beginning after everything collapses and there's no real form of government. There'll be greedy people out there that will want it. There'll be greedy people out there that's going to hold on to cash, paper money, and their coins. Coins actually have more value than the paper money because I can melt it down. Eventually, we're going to get into a barter and trade system. And if things ever go as bleak as so many people keep wanting to think and say it's going to, and I'm not going to lie, it's very possible and feasible within the near future. Within my lifetime, I could see it happening if things keep going the way they're going. If people don't wake up to what's really going on, if people don't wake up and understand that you've been pitted against each other, that you're so divided, things are going to get bad. In many cases, I've seen a lot of things during the COVID, during the shut lockdowns, that backfired on them. A lot of people started growing their gardens again, planting, doing arts and crafts stuff, learning new skills because they didn't have nothing else to do. It was probably one of the best things to happen to the American people. And it's also one of the worst things that ever happened to the American people at the same time. Because that was the day the government realized the people no longer feared them. They will do what they're told. And it won't take much for them to push you to do it. That's what they learned. It was probably one of the best beta tests ever done on on the American population or the population of around the world. I've never been a fan, even growing up, uh, of stock markets. I mean, honestly, if you're going to gamble, that's what you're doing. You're gambling on stocks, hoping you're going to be the next Wolf of Wall Street or whatever you want to call them, trading tycoon. It's still a crap shot. You got a better chance of hitting a lotto. You got a better chance going to a casino and actually winning money. And the house always wins in the end at the casinos. It's rigged. I'd much rather invest my money in feasible things that have real value in this world. Seeds for gardening, water pump, old school hand water pump, which we have. We've got one that's ancient, but still works. Just need to clean up the seals in it, which we have backup seals for it. Becomes actually just a lawn decoration right now, but it used to work. It used to be tied into the plumbing to where you could actually use it to, it would just, and honestly, you can actually buy small ones dirt cheap and self-drilling pipe that you don't need much effort to do besides a sledge and the actual pipe. I mean, I personally want to do it here because our well is almost 200 feet down. But if, push came to shove and it had to be done, it's a one-day project when we'd have our access to water again. Actually, we'd have access to water again because all we'd have to do is remove our wellhead and just screw down the hand pump onto the tubing, which same size tubing matches right up, and we'd have water. I mean, that is the advantage of living out the country. Because water has value. It's a need. Food has more value because it is a need. We need water and food to sustain and survive. Whereas we don't need gold. You might find some people out there that trade you stuff for gold, but in the end, your food has way more value. Your chickens have way more value than gold and silver. And in the end, gold and silver is always going to be controlled, it's just like crypto, is always going to be controlled by those who are in power. And history has already shown us. United States history has shown us that our government has no problem making it a criminal offense to possess, sell, own, trade gold. Obama put such heavy sanctions where if you had, in certain areas, if you had a stream or creek running through your property, you didn't own it. I mean, there's so many dirty little tricks that they could use to strip you of everything. Yeah, it is a concern for people. I get it. If everything came crashing down, most people are not prepared for it, and 90% of the people think they are not. You're never prepared. And you don't talk about what you have. That's your biggest mistake. That's why I don't show guns and stuff. I don't take pictures of them. I don't show what we really have around here. What I do show you is just, miscellaneous stuff. When I do stuff like that, just like, this week, I'm going to actually show you my fishing gear and setups. Just because, hey, I'm getting ready to move anyway, so it don't really matter. But it's educational. It's another way to provide not only food, but a trading currency. Fish that I catch in a situation where we have complete collapse has more value than your gold and silver and your crypto coins. You guys do understand that, right? I mean, that microwave you just threw away in the junk because it don't work no more has more value than your gold, silver, and crypto coins because there's stuff off that I can use to make things. Your old cars have more value because I can use the alternator of the car and create a windmill to power things. So in the end, those are the things that I look at that has real value. And like I said, you're going to have a black market. You're going to have a barter and trade system. Then you're going to have a black market. Then you're going to have the powers that be label the people that barter and trade as black market, trying to make them criminals. We don't think, we talk about all this, but we don't really think and point out all the crap that's going to happen in a situation like this. When in reality, it's not good for anybody. But there'll be plenty of suckers out there who's going to think that gold is worth something. So, yeah, take advantage of it while it lasts. But in the end, the real people, you're going to give me all that for an ounce of gold? Here, sucker. So, yes, in the beginning, yes, it might. It will. But in the end, no, it don't. It has no real value because it's not something we can use to sustain ourselves. That cheap-ass bottle of Boone's wine, strawberry wine, is worth more than that ounce of gold or ounce of silver. That piece of iron that you just picked up that you were getting ready to throw away has more value than that gold and silver. Because I can make a lot of stuff out of that. I can make knives, I can make bullets, I can make arrowheads, axes, saws. And there's a reason why, you need to recycle all that stuff. Get rid of it. Cash it in. Instead of, hey, why don't I just melt all that aluminum down? Melt that all those small little junk bolts and nuts down into ignates or bars because it actually has real value. It's worth more than gold and silver. I can't make nothing out of gold and silver besides trinkets and jewelry. I could use the silver to make like pellets and stuff for like BB guns, I guess. Something soft, but it's too soft of a material. These are the things you should be thinking about. I get it though. We live in the modern day. We live in today. Everything's stressful. Everything's meant to instill fear and panic. I mean, if they go down, there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to happen. Eventually, it will happen. What you can do and what you should have been doing is preparing for something like that. Okay, cool. You know how easy it is to build a greenhouse, guys? That you can be growing your food all year round and reusing the seeds to continue your growing. You should be investing in canning stuff, seeds, chicken, eggs. Oh, wait, we have a chicken shortage. You're damn right we do. It was intentionally caused, too. That's why prices of eggs have skyrocketed. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing out there. We're witnessing the collapse of our infrastructure, financial infrastructures, all in front of us. It's a slow process. They want to slow it down, drag it out. But how can the federal government bail out a bank when we don't have the money to bail them out? There's so much more stuff out there that's more valuable than paper, gold, and silver, or imaginary crypto. Those are the things you should be thinking about. You should be looking at your cupboards and stuff. And, heaven forbid, come tomorrow, people show up, bum rush the banks, because by doing that, you're actually going to cause a bigger crisis. You're going to cause the banks to shut down or close up, freeze up, cause stock markets to stop trading. In a sense, sometimes they want to force you into doing something so they can, oh, yep, you caused it. You're the reason. We need to slow down. We need to put a cap on what you can spend per week, which we've seen in other countries already implement this. We've seen during COVID, they started restricting how many items you could buy at a time. And they paid attention. They seen you walk out, come back, and 2 hours later and try to buy it again. I watched it. I was in the store a few times when it happened. Oh no, you can't. You were in here a couple hours ago. We can't sell it to you. Oh, you was with this person when you bought that, so no, you guys got your limit for the day. I've seen that happen. I suggest people start researching bartering and trading. Start realizing how much your own skills, what you know, and what you can contribute to your communities is worth. You have real value, obviously, because you live in a slave labor concept that was created by our governments. They make you work 40 plus hours a week and tax you on top of it. Because if people ain't working, doing these odd miscellaneous jobs, a lot of things stop working. Trash guys stop picking up trash. Electricians stop doing the electrical repairs and stuff. Things start to tumble down quick. And we've seen this happen within recent history. We've seen Greece, Italy, especially during COVID, where some of this stuff happened. Pre-COVID, before COVID, it was happening. People just had enough. And they stopped doing the normal data things that they could work. And things got bad. In the end, can't tell you what's going to happen come tomorrow. But I could tell you this, if you're that worried about it, stop putting all that money into the bank. You know, put some in, yes, not all of it, and don't tell nobody. Put it in a safe. Keep cash on you. Then you have nothing to worry about. Oh, okay. You just got what I had in there for the bills and a little bit extra that I kept to a side. It's okay to keep like $1,000 for a backup, but it's not all in there one time. But the rest, put away. Get a safe. Put it in a safe, or find something creative to do with it. Keep cash on you instead of relying on a debit card that may or may not work when you go to the store. By doing these things, it's a preventive measure. That way, I don't have to worry about it. That way, hey, all these people are panicking and say the banks don't open tomorrow. People can't get to it. Well, you guess what? First thing in the morning, you could have been going to the store, buying some extra stuff that while people are panicking at the bank, you get ahead of all the panic because you have that cash already secured in a safe spot. Like I said, I mean, 3 more banks. There's just so much going on that we don't pay attention to. It's like I didn't know that there was a bill in front of Congress that they were going to 100 try to freeze 130 billion so Russia can't trade their gold or use their gold. Yeah, that I see bad things coming with. I see that backfiring badly, and I see the gold market crashing. We've been running on an all-time high on the gold side of things, highest prices ever. But eventually, that's going to come to an end. And let's keep it real, guys. Gold's not even free anyway, because if you find some or find some on your property, you have to report it. So they know who has gold. When the pawn store buys your gold or sells your gold, they have to record it and file a report to the government. Didn't think about that one, did you? So if you actually have some and you sell it, they need to know where you got it. And you're supposed to tell them so. Careful what you do. Like I said, the government controls it. We just have the illusion that we got all this gold put up. Yeah, and they know we have it. Or we have it and because, we mined it ourselves, but we never reported it when you go to try to sell that. And you got to answer, well, where'd you get that? Well, you're going to have to lie, first and foremost. But you're also now on record that the government knows you have it. They might pay you a visit. Where'd you get it? Makes me not want to really have any gold or silver. Eliminate a future headache. Which honestly, I don't. I was never never invested in those things. I invested in fishing poles and fishing rods and fishing line, tackle. I invested in learning how to make molds, how to make kilns. There's the other thing that has more value, your knowledge and wisdom and your skill sets and trades. The more you can learn to do, the better you are, and the more value you have to somebody else. That should be our lesson. Then the less stress and worry you have when situations like this come around. Okay. It's going to happen someday. But it's not really going to affect me right now or In the months, weeks and months to come, I have my own ways to support myself. I have a black powder rifle for a reason. Why? Because I can make my own shot. I have enough black powder to sustain myself for quite some time. It's not hard to sustain myself. I'll be able to hunt. I'll be able to trap. I'll be able to harvest my own fruits and vegetables. I'll have my own grain if I so chose to make some hooch or wine. Therefore, I'll have disinfectants. I have the skills to make that stuff. What skills do you have? What is your value? What can you offer? Are you completely reliant on fiat currency? Are you completely reliant on having gold, silver, crypto, paper money, stock investments, all the things that can go away? Then where are you at? Do you have enough surplus and supplies in your pantries to get you through a growing season to harvest? To be able to replenish what you've used? Do you have the skills to be able to go out and fish, hunt, and trap? Can you shoot a bow? And honestly, I don't need a fishing pole. Okay, I still know how to cane fish. I know how to set fishing traps. I know how to hand fish. You know, and I know how to make my own tools. Those are the things you guys should be focusing on and understanding, because those are the things that have real value, more value than gold, silver, paper money, crypto. It's, the irony of it is most people don't realize. Just like most people to this day, I promise you, didn't know that the United States government and a president made it illegal for you to possess, own, sell, and hoard gold. It was a crime. And don't think they won't do it again. Because in the end, they only think about one thing themselves. They're not our representatives, haven't been for a long time. They'd much rather see everything fall and force you into some complete submission and reliant on them. Here, we're going to set up these markets. We're going to set up these places so you get your food, get your water. It'll be rationed. I mean, people that know basic first aid have more value and skill than gold and silver. I don't like being the guy that bursts people's bubble or talks about things that, it just, it sucks, don't it, when you start hearing somebody talk about this. Oh, that ain't right. That ain't true. Well, unfortunately, it is. You know what the real shitty part of it is? Many of these people that you listen to know it too. They're just not telling you because they don't want you to have all that knowledge, because then you might be a threat to them and their communities. Harsh reality. Unfortunately, I don't have a filter, and I don't much care to hold back when it comes to things like that. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to keep it real. I keep it real. Don't come knocking on my door, because if I see you, weigh you up, and ask you, "Oh, what can you offer?" and you say gold, silver, I'm going to tell you to piss off. I don't need that. If you tell me, well, I know how to do this, I can do this, you know what? And if somebody in our community can't, or a person's getting up there in age, we could use somebody younger that could do it. You know what? Let me give you a try. Show me what you can do. I'll give you a trial basis. If you can, cool. Welcome to the community. I mean, that's the harsh reality of things. That's the things nobody wants to talk about because nobody wants to hear the harsh realities. Nobody wants to hear that in a national divorce, the way Marjorie Taylor Greene makes it sound all good, it's actually all bad. It would actually be the purge on a far worse scale. Because it'd be debauchery. It'd be a free for all. And we see how divided we are. And that division will spread like hatred. We'll be fighting each other and completely forgetting about who the real enemy is. Instead, we're just going to go after the illusionary enemy, our fellow brothers and sisters, who are supposed to be our brothers and sisters. They're not the enemy because they're not a Republican, Democrat. They're not homosexual. They're not Catholic. They're not a Baptist. They're our brothers and sisters. But now, our governments can't have us thinking like that. They have to have us pitted against each other and constantly arguing and fighting amongst ourselves, living in fear. Now, we scream we want change. Change starts at home. It starts with thyself. It starts with you questioning everything. You changing the way you think. You start keeping it real. Especially with these discussions. Enough of the fear-mongering, sugarcoating shit. Keep it real. Be truthful. Don't tell everybody, oh, yep, you need to go buy gold and do it. No, you need to go get some skills. You need to educate yourself, learn. You need to see what has real, understand what actually has real value. But, as somebody said, if you haven't figured it out by now, well, you probably won't. And it's probably a bit too late anyway. But I'm getting close to that hour mark, and I'm not going to ramble on this subject. I've said enough. I hope you guys enjoyed. You guys enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe. Look for some uploaded content. I will be uploading some stuff throughout the week. But I got a lot of stuff on my plate that I got to take care of, get done, and get ready for the next week or so. So these live streams are going to be slowly widening it down, so even with the uploads. You guys all enjoy your week. Be safe.